In today's video, we are going to be going over my very first book that failed and didn't do very well when I published it through Kindle Direct Publishing. Basically, all the stuff that went into it and how you can avoid having this happen to you when you publish your very first book. What is going on, guys? My name is Dane. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. On this channel, I talk all about self-publishing books on Amazon, online entrepreneurship, and just lifestyle in general. So if that kind of thing interests you, make sure you subscribe, drop a like on the video, and hit the notification bell so you know when I post new videos. In today's video, you already saw what I said in the beginning. I'm going over my failed book example from my Kindle Direct Publishing business back when I first started back in August of 2019, so around a year and 2 months ago from now. At the time, I published two main books that I wanted to eventually bundle together and promote together. Didn't really go that way, didn't end up happening very well. One of the books did pretty good and it's still one of my better sellers to this day, but the other one failed drastically, and I want to talk about it in this video so you can get an idea for what went into this failed book, so you can avoid these things so it doesn't happen to you when you publish your very first book through Kindle Direct Publishing, okay? I don't want this video to go on for too long. I want to get straight to the point. So without further ado, let's dive into my computer. I'm going to show you on screen just some stuff that went into the book. Then we're going to go over some mistakes that I made, and then we're going to go over the outcome of the book and where it is now in my publishing business, okay? So let's jump into my computer. Okay, so we're in my computer now. You can see on screen, failed book example, Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, okay? And like I said, I published two books at the same time last year, my very first two books. One did well, still one of my best sellers to this day. I think it's made me close to $7,000 in royalties in the past year, just the one book. But this one hasn't done very well at all, and it kind of just fizzled out. And I'm just showing you exactly why that happened and what you can do in order to avoid that happening to you, okay? So let's jump into this. First things first, I want to talk about the information about the book, what went into it, what it consisted of, and like the niche that it was in, just so you have an idea for my thought process and all the work that went into it, and the niche that I chose and the stuff like that, okay? So the targeted niche that I went into was the addictions niche, okay? And if you're familiar with publishing in addictions, it can be kind of a gray area when it comes to utilizing your Amazon ads to promote your book, because sometimes Amazon ads don't let you promote books that are in the addictions niche just for, it's pretty obvious reasons. They don't want books that are promoting things that are 18 plus to minors on the site. And sometimes addictions deal with that. So like alcohol, smoking, cigarettes, stuff like that. They don't really like that being promoted to their site openly. So it can be tough to advertise a book that falls in the addictions niche. So again, sometimes they get approved, sometimes they don't. So when it comes to promoting your book, Amazon advertising is one of the backbones of the entire publishing business. And if you can't promote your books through Amazon advertising, it's going to be pretty tough to make sales, especially in the beginning, okay? It was also 50,000 words in length, which isn't a bad thing. For a first book, I don't usually recommend going that long because it's going to cost you a lot more. And if you're not 100% sure that book's going to do well in the long run, that could be a bit of a risk, like a risky investment for you to get into if you're not 100% sure that the book's going to do well in the first place. And that's kind of what I did here. It was one of the first books that I published, and it costed around 900 USD to have made. In Canadian, that's like $1,200. So it was pretty expensive to get this book made. Usually don't spend that much money on a book, but again, I was just starting out, I was just learning, and I had to figure out what worked and what didn't somehow. So that's how I learned. I ordered this particular book through Upwork, and I hired a ghostwriter myself, so like a freelance ghostwriter. And he also wrote another one that was similar in the same, not addictions niche, but a very similar niche. So I was going to bundle the two together eventually. That was the plan. And the other book that I ordered was 30,000 words, so it was a little bit shorter than this one that ended up failing, which was at 50,000 words. So that is the information about the book. I'm not going to give you like the pen name on the book because I still actually use this pen name, and if you knew the pen name, you'd find a bunch of my books. But I do want to give you the general idea of what niche it was in, how long it was, how much it costed, how much I put into it, the kind of ghostwriter that I hired, just so you have an idea. I'm not saying avoid these things in particular. But I am saying avoid maybe the addictions niche if you're just getting into self-publishing. It can be a very difficult niche to advertise your book in. And like I said, advertising is one of the backbones, one of the key players in order to get your book some traction in the beginning and start making sales with it. And if you can't advertise it through Amazon advertising, it's going to be very difficult to do so. Okay, so let's go over the mistakes that I made with this first book. Okay, so now that you know the information behind it, you know what went into it, the thought process and stuff like that, let's talk about the mistakes that I made when it came to publishing this first book, okay? So here's a few of them. And I already went over this one a little bit, but 50,000 words in length was a little bit long for a first book. You can totally do it. It's just like, it's going to cost you more, and you don't need that many words in a book, especially for your first book. If you're looking to get in and just test the waters, I recommend using maybe 25,000 to 30,000 words. And I also talk about a few different shorter books in my free course down below, 100% free. You can learn all about the types of books that I publish. And some of them consist of like 10K words, 15K words, and 25K words. So 50K words is definitely getting on the longer side. It's going to cost you a lot more to get into it. I'd recommend maybe going with 50,000 words if you're familiar with the niche and you know that that book's going to do well, you know what goes into it, you know the kind of quality that it needs in order to succeed in that particular niche. Next thing I did was try targeting around 4 keywords in the book instead of just focusing on one. So like the title of the book, I had like alcohol in there, I had like a cigarette, smoking addiction. I had all these different addictions, and in hindsight, it wasn't the best idea. In terms of picking keywords to target with your book, usually I suggest just picking one and going with that one and making the whole book about that one keyword. Instead of trying to target a bunch of them and trying to rank for them all, it's going to water down the quality of your book, and it's just going to spread itself thin eventually. And it's not really going to have a focus that people are looking for. When people look for these kinds of books, they're looking for alcohol addiction and nothing else usually. Sometimes they'll have a few other things, but for the most part, I do recommend only targeting one keyword with your books. Again, I wasn't able to advertise it due to the niche keyword that I was targeting. Again, addiction, it's very hard to get a book to properly be advertised. For the most part, there's some of the keywords and addictions that work, but for the most part, it's very iffy, and trying to get Amazon to allow you to advertise that kind of book can be difficult. And again, it is the backbone when you start to promote your book and try to gain traction when it's first on the Amazon store. On top of that, the book didn't include any kind of like real branding, had like a random cover, random pen name. I wasn't super familiar with branding and all that good stuff, so that was definitely a weak point for the book. It's just kind of a self-published book, pen name on there, and I tried to promote it and it didn't do very well. There's no use of freebie offer to get leads. So what I teach in my programs is having a freebie offer in there so you can get people into your email list and promote future books to them, promote other products to them, other stuff that's to do with your whole publishing ecosystem, as I call it. And this book didn't have any sort of freebie offer or anything like that. So I wasn't really gathering any leads, and I wasn't future-proofing my business. The launch was very weak. So I talk about how a launch works in a few of my other videos. So I'm not talking about a proper launch right now. But there's tons of different things that go into a proper launch, like getting proper reviews, setting your Amazon ads up correctly, utilizing free book promotions, all these different things. And I didn't really use any of those things. So that didn't help at all when it came to this first book. I also tried to make do with around 4 reviews. So on top of having a weak launch, which is how we get reviews on our book, I didn't really do it. So I didn't really get reviews onto the book. So I only had around 4 reviews when I first published the book. And with only 4 reviews, it can be kind of tough. That's a really big lack of social proof when people see your book. Say they click on an Amazon ad or they see it ranking. If there's only 4 reviews on a book, it's not going to be very enticing, not very believable that it's a very great book. First thing people look at are the reviews. So what I suggest doing is usually getting around 10 reviews before you start really promoting that thing in the beginning. And that's what the launch will help you with and all that good stuff. But again, I didn't do a launch. I couldn't advertise. So like all these things were piling up, and the book just wasn't doing very well. Finally, I also didn't really proofread or edit it at all. I was just like too excited. I wanted to get it on the market. And again, that's a huge rookie mistake. You want to proofread, you want to edit, because those things will come back to you, and it won't be pretty. Basically speaking, when it comes to not proofreading and editing, you're really risking having a very badly written book published onto Amazon, and eventually months down the road, you'll get bad reviews, which are going to kill the book in the long run, and you're not going to get any sales for the future. So those are the main mistakes that I made. Hopefully those kind of gave you an idea for mistakes that you don't want to make with your first book. Now that you know the mistakes, let's go over the outcome for this book. Okay, if you're just curious, you have an idea for what happened to it ever since I published it back in like September of 2019, August area. I think it was like just the very beginning of September of 2019, and how it's done over the course of a year and a couple months. This is what happened. So I launched the book. It sat pretty much dormant for like 7 days. I didn't really do anything, didn't run a free book promotion, didn't have reviews going to it, didn't utilize Booksprout to get reviews onto it, didn't utilize all these different things. And that definitely hurt the book. The first week is very, very crucial for a new book. Once it gets onto Amazon, you want to prove to Amazon's algorithm that your book sells and that people are enjoying it. And if it's going to sit dormant like mine did for 7 days, Amazon's not really going to pick up on that, and it's not going to help promote your book to people, and it's not going to get any sales. It also only garnered around 4 reviews, and then I tried to start Amazon ads for it. So again, having only 4 reviews is a very big lack of social proof. And only having those 4 reviews did not help at all with the Amazon ads doing any kind of stuff. And again, most of my Amazon ads were getting rejected. I think I only got 1 that I managed to get running, and it didn't do very well. It wasn't targeting the right keywords because I was trying to get it to approve it. So I used some different keywords. And that didn't really work because I couldn't target things like alcohol and smoking addiction and stuff like that because Amazon wouldn't let me advertise to it. So the targeting and everything for my Amazon ads just wasn't very good. Most of the Amazon ads were rejected, again, like I just said, due to the keywords that the book was targeting. This caused a lot of doubt for me and discouragement when it came to my first book. Luckily, I had that other book that I ordered at the same time, and that one, again, still does very well to this day. So that kept me motivated to keep publishing in the beginning. But if I had only ever gone with this book, I don't even know if I would still be publishing because I was really discouraged because this one cost me a lot more than the other one. The other book I think cost me around 600 USD. This one cost me 900, so it was very expensive and it just kind of died out. Luckily, the other book I made did very well, like I just said, and the addictions book went on to die out in about 1 to 2 months. It never really made me much royalties at all, okay? So in around 1 to 2 months, the 50,000 word book that I've been talking about this whole time eventually just died out and it wasn't getting any sales, had like a 1 million plus BSR on Amazon.com, and it just wasn't doing very well at all. To this day, it's earned me around $270 USD in royalties on KDP, okay? Compare that to the 30,000 word book that I promoted at the exact same time. That one's done over $7,000 in royalties in 1 year. To put it in perspective, this one, again, has only earned me like 300 USD over the course of an entire year. And when it comes to the other one, the 30,000 word book that I ordered at the same time, I think in the very first month, that one did $700 in royalties. So just compare the two. This one definitely didn't do very good, but again, I am happy that it happened because it taught me a lot of lessons and stuff that I won't, like mistakes I won't make again. So hopefully this video shows you guys and gives you a clear idea of the same mistakes that you don't want to make when it comes to publishing, whether your first book, second book, third book. Hopefully this is falling into the right time so you don't make the mistakes and waste a bunch of money on your first book. So that is pretty much it for this video. It's just a quick one I wanted to go over because I have had a lot of these same, like similar questions in the Facebook group for my free publishing course. People asking me, hey, can you give us, like, I always talk about all the good things. I want to talk about one of the bad things that happened to me, so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. And one of the things that comes up a lot is, have you ever had a book that completely failed? Can you tell the story about it? So thought I would go over that in this video. Hopefully that was helpful for some of you guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys will find that useful. But again, if you do want to join my free publishing program, it's going to teach you all the different methods that I use, all the different kinds of books that I publish, how to order them through like ghostwriters, how to do them yourself, all these different things. The link is down below in the bio if you want to join it. There's over 4,000 people in the program. It is a very high quality program, and I'm super proud of having it there, and I'm sure that you'll like going through it and learning a bunch of stuff about publishing books on Amazon. If you're looking to make a full-time, part-time, or just some money on the side, this is the right thing for you to do. Even if you're not really into books, this is the perfect online business for you. It has allowed me to quit my job in the past year, and it can do the same thing for you if you put enough time and effort into it, okay? So if you're interested in joining that, make sure you click the link down in the description below. But other than that, this video is pretty much over. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about the mistakes that I made and you don't make them yourself, rolling through into the future, and it's 2021 with publishing on Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. Other than that, that is pretty much over. If you liked the video, make sure you subscribe, drop a like on it, and hit the notification bell so you know when I post new videos. Try to post new videos every single week. That has been going pretty well for the past month or so. So this one is over, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.